Go on, do it one day. I dare you.
You dare me?
I double dog dare you.
Can't turn down the double dog dare.
Instead of our usual claps, Gray, I'm going to give you a different noise. Are you ready?
Why do you always... Okay.
It will still give you nice peaks on the waveform.
Well, last time you did this, you gave me some horrible sound that did not give me nice peaks, even though you were really confident about it.
Listen to this and see if you can guess what it is.
Okay. Okay, first of all, like that's not a nice peak sound. It's mushy already.
No, but you can see 3 distinct lines on your waveform, so you can clearly sync up with that.
What it is that I'm doing.
I am hitting the microphone with one of my Christmas presents.
Oh, yeah?
Which is my meteorite.
Who gave you a meteorite?
It was from my wife.
Oh, that's very nice.
And it sits on my desk in a little box on a little velvet pillow. And whenever I want, when I feel like I want inspiration, I can just reach down and hold a piece of space in my hand.
Yeah, does that help you? Do you get inspired by holding space in your hand?
I would say not so much.
Oh,
but it does feel very nice, and I like fiddling with things, and it's weighty and it's interesting textured and it looks cool, so it brings me pleasure.
I'm happy that it brings you pleasure, and I would much rather have you fiddling meteorites than just before we started recording. You have what looked to me like new soundproofing equipment in front of you to sound nicer on the microphone. And you were fiddling with the soundproofing to make the soundproofing make noise. It was like an astounding thing to watch you do. So I would much prefer that you fiddle with the meteorite. But I love that you make the thing that is there to make less sound, you make it make more sound with your fiddling.
Yeah, we have to let people hear it now. This is what it sounds like when I rub my finger along the soundproofing. Yeah.
This people is what he was doing just while he was talking to me, just rubbing his fingers against the lovely soundproofing. So play with your meteorite, Brady. You're such a fiddler.
Great. If you were more interesting and engaging, I wouldn't be looking elsewhere for distractions.
Oh yes, I'm sure that's what it is. That's what it is. You are just solid as a rock, right? Motionless, like a marble statue. When you're talking to someone more engaging than I. I'm sure that's exactly what you are.
I have a high capacity to take in stuff and do stuff, and you're not satisfying me, Gray.
Right, I'm just not stimulating enough for you. You're like an artificial intelligence, and talking to me is just occupying a tiny part of your brain.
Exactly, like you're talking, and like years are passing in my brain. Speaking of years passing, happy 2016 and all that.
Yeah, happy 2016, Brady.
How did you see in the new year?
Oh, I wish you hadn't asked.
Oh, really?
Okay. Because I know this is going to infuriate you.
Oh, no.
I went to sleep, no joke, 3 minutes before the changeover to the new year. And the worst thing is, in our current apartment, we have a nice view to the sky in London, so we could theoretically see all the fireworks. Or I say theoretically because, of course, my wife did see all the fireworks. But at 11:57, I was sitting on the couch and thinking, I'm just too tired to stay up anymore, and I went to bed.
Oh, okay. That is a bit sad then. Like, if you just fell asleep, fair enough. But you actually consciously said, I cannot sit here for 3 more minutes. I am walking to my bed now.
Yeah, I got into bed and I closed my eyes and I sort of heard the fireworks as I drifted off to sleep almost immediately. I think that has to be a record for me of the closest I have ever come to the New Year's changeover without actually making it to the other side.
I mean, that doesn't infuriate me, but it is a bit tragic, isn't it? Like, to be so close and you could have just had a look.
I think it's tragic to stay up when you're tired.
Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna argue with you. I mean, I think it's becoming a bit of a trendy thing now to say, oh, I did nothing or I went to sleep and stuff. So, I mean, this is not uncommon now. I think people almost wear it as a badge of honor to say, oh, I did nothing for New Year. You know, New Year's so overrated and so overhyped. So I just stayed in and watched, TV and went to bed at 10:30.
Yeah.
I watched House of Cards.
Is that the voice that they use when they say this?
Yeah, that's pretentious voice. Oh, I can't be doing with New Year. Oh gosh. I prefer to celebrate the Nepalese New Year in May.
I like this new voice of yours. At least it's a little bit of variety from Nerd Voice.
I'm the man of 1,000 voices.
Yeah, well, I know of 2 now, so...
Yeah, okay, I'm the man of 2 voices. Right. But that doesn't sound quite as cool.
No, it doesn't sound quite as cool. What about you, Brady? How did you ring in the new year?
I rung in the new year in a reddy maroon velvet jacket
Oh, wow.
partying in the Moulin Rouge in Paris.
That is quite the contrast.
It is quite. Our show didn't start until midnight.
Oh, God, really?
We had like a fancy dinner and like cabaret singing, which was fun. And then at New Year, they came up on stage, the hosts. They actually came on at like 5 past, which everyone knew because we all had iPhones. So we already knew they'd missed the New Year. But at about 12, they did this faux countdown from 10, 9, 8, 7, which just started arbitrarily when they felt like it. And then there was like, pyrotechnics and that. And then like the Moulin Rouge show started for 2 hours of, glamorous people dancing around with far too little clothes on and people swimming with snakes and jugglers and mime artists and all the crazy campness that is a Moulin Rouge show. And then there was a bit of dancing with masks and crazy hats and horns and then back to the hotel.
That does sound like quite the New Year's.
It was much better than I expected.
That's quite the New Year, Brady. That's quite the New Year.
While you slept, I was spilling not 1 but 2 glasses of champagne all over my wife's lovely dress.
Oh, nice.
And,
Nicely done.
It was a little bit cramped at those tables and I was a bit clumsy, but she was cool.
She has to be living with a caveman.
Yeah.
You go someplace fancy, Brady spills champagne all over.
Yeah. And Christmas was a bit of a write-off because of work reasons, but Christmas was celebrated on Boxing Day with the Greys.
Yes.
It was lovely.
It was lovely. We got together for Christmas in London. Boxing Day really in London. But it's Christmas enough. It's the whole Christmas season.
Christmas dinner, walked the dogs, watched a bit of rubbish TV, put the world to rights or whatever it is when you just talk about rubbish for hours.
It was one of those just enjoyable days of just hanging out together and just eating a lovely dinner. It was very nice. It was a very nice Boxing Day to spend with the Bradys.
The Bradys. I like that.
Now, do you have any big plans for 2016, Brady? Is there anything big happening in 2016 that you want to talk about?
2016 is going to be an official year of fun for me with lots of cool travels and adventures, and I want to travel more and see more stuff.
And why is it going to be the year of fun for you, Brady?
Because it just is.
Oh, yeah? Is that all?
Yeah.
Is that what we're just going to leave it at? Okay.
Yeah. And we're not talking about birthdays or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So
All right. But it's the year of fun.
it's a year of fun. Yeah.
For no particular reason.
For no particular
It's
reason.
not anything big or anything.
No. Nothing big.
Ceaseless approach of death.
Every year's a year closer to death.
It is. Completely unrelated to this discussion about birthdays, do you have an opinion about when middle age officially starts?
That is a thing that constantly shifts as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a point now where middle age starts in 10 years all the time.
Right.
It's like it's 10 years away and it's moving at 1 year per year away from that. It will never be caught. And it is not getting closer either.
I feel that is intellectually dishonest, but also entirely understandable.
When do you believe it starts, Mr. Rational and knower of all?
40 has to be middle age. I think that's probably the best time to put it. And really, 40 is being somewhat optimistic because most people don't actually live until 80. You live slightly younger than that. So maybe like 39, maybe even 38 is middle age. But I think by the time you're 40, there's no denying it anymore. That's middle age.
So you're defining middle age to almost what it says on the tin, the midpoint of life.
I'm taking this totally crazy path of assuming that the word means what it means, which is the middle of your age.
See, I think it could mean different things. And do you count those first 10 years in your equations? And, is it the middle of your adult life? Is it just the middle of the number of days your heart has been beating? I don't know.
I think 40 works both ways though, right? Because when people are in their 40s, this is usually at the period of time where if they have a family, they're going to have a family. Like when I was a kid, all of the parents that I knew, they were all in their 40s. And it seems like, this is this middle phase of a human's life. Like you were a kid and then you grew up and you were a young adult for a while. And now when you have a family and you're in your 40s, that's middle age. And then immediately after middle age comes death. That's how it goes.
Immediately after,
Right.
there's not like a sort of a sunset period or anything. It's just middle age and then bang against the wall.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all over after that. That's how that works.
So, having clarified where middle age is, what should one's attitude be to reaching middle age? Is this a time of celebration? Is it a time of mourning? Is it just a meh? What should one think when one reaches the age of 40?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not there yet.
Well, neither am I.
I didn't say that you were, Brady. I didn't say that you were. The thing is, you should probably find someone in middle age. Just like the general you, not you, but like, you, dear listener, should find someone middle age and ask them what they think about that. Because you can't like speculate in the future. It's just like, oh, I could give advice to people who are younger than me, but it's hard to give advice to people who are older than me. So yeah, I think maybe we should hear from our audience. What should people in middle age think?
That's an interesting thing you just said there, though. Does advice only flow down? Can young people not advise? I mean, of course they can advise old people, but can young people legitimately advise older people? Or can advice only flow from the old to the young?
I'm thinking in terms of general life advice. There's some term for it, but it does seem to be that people go through different psychological experiences, sort of like in sections of decades as they grow older. And I think for that kind of thing, you can only talk to someone who is older than you and who has gone through it. I was just reading this article, which was talking about human happiness over the course of life and how it does seem to follow a U shape, that you're happier when you're younger. Happiness seems to minimize in the middle of your life, in the term middle age, sort of in your 40s, let's say. And then after your 40s, it goes up. But that it's very common for people in middle age to have this feeling of, oh, is this all there is to my life? Or like knowing that it's unlikely that they're going to have another big career change or something like that. So I think for this kind of general life advice, it can only flow downhill. I think like when I was in my 20s, I went through a kind of, I think the cool kids these days call it a quarter life crisis, where I remember in my early 20s having a real feeling of like, oh God, what is going to happen with my life? I'm just unemployed and I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I feel like, oh, if I was talking to someone in their 20s, I might have useful things to say to that person, but I have nothing useful to say to someone in their 40s. Like I wouldn't be able to necessarily advise them. I think they would need to talk to someone in their 50s who had gone through whatever they're going through.
Do you think maybe it's not possible that when you get older, you sort of forget things, or you like your hard drive and get so cluttered with rubbish, you forget certain things or can no longer access certain things that the young people can? And they could sort of say to you, you know what, you should try this and this. And the old person might say, I forgot what it was like to think like that. And you're right, that is good advice. That will help me out of this situation.
We do know that brains decay as time goes on, right?
Yeah.
That you're just slowly falling apart as time goes on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there is something about the experiences that someone has been through just as general life advice that you have to talk to someone who is older.
I mean, your experience can only go up as long as you don't forget it all.
Which you do.
It's interesting to hear that you think I'm pretty much getting to the bottom of the U.
I didn't say anything about your age in particular, Brady. You are saying that you're getting to the bottom of the U.
I feel like I am quite happy.
Yeah?
Maybe I'm just happy this week because I've tidied my desk and cleared my desktop on my computer, and I've gone to the gym a bit. And
Yeah,
maybe
so
you're
feeling
asking.
good?
Maybe this is a bad time to ask me, and I'm just feeling unusually happy today.
Yeah?
Yeah,
But you feel happy in general, Brady?
yeah, I'm feeling pretty happy today.
Do you feel more happy than 10 years ago?
I would say
Like what were you doing 10 years ago?
I was working at the BBC,
Mm-hmm.
living in Nottingham. I mean, I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I can do more now. Like I feel more free now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more in control of my own life now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have like more responsibilities and pressures now. That's true, but at the moment I'm on top of them, so I'm willing to I'm willing to pay that price for all the other goodness. So, I don't know. Think things are okay at the moment.
Yeah, but do you think you're happier now than 10 years ago? It's a very hard thing to say, but
I don't know how to measure happiness. But I would say, I don't know, Gray. I don't know. You're making my brain explode. Let's talk about it another episode. This is interesting. I need to think more about it and make some notes.
You think about it. We'll run the standard scientific test on you here, which is I will randomly text you, or no, I'll have some robot do it. I'll set up a program to randomly text you at all hours of the day and ask you, how happy are you right now? And you can reply on a 1 to 10 scale. That's what we'll do.
But you can't measure that against the 10 years ago, Brady, because you didn't do that then.
Yeah, that's true. For the next 10 years of your life, I'll have a robot randomly text you constantly and ask you how happy you are. And then we can compare to see if you 10 years from now is happier or sadder than you now.
Except I'll always be unhappy because no matter what mood I'm in, I'll be pissed off that I've got another text that I've got to answer.
That's exactly it. This is of course the observer effect. Yeah. The instant I ask you, you get irritated and less happy.
All right. So I guess we better start the show.
Are we starting the show now?
Yeah, we'll start the show. We'll start the show now. I tell you what, I will be in middle age by the time this show gets started.
This episode of Hello Internet is brought to you by your friends at Backblaze. Backblaze is an online backup service for all of your data. Your photographs, your documents, whatever digital files you work on your computer, Backblaze will automatically back them up for you. These guys are the experts. They have over 150 petabytes of other people's data backed up, saved securely in the cloud, and they've restored over 10 billion files for their computers. I mean, these are just astounding numbers. 10 billion files that people would have otherwise lost were it not for Backblaze. It really is something that you just absolutely have to have on your computer if you don't already, because you never know when a disaster is going to happen. And if it's already installed on your computer, make sure it's installed on everyone's computer who you know. Last time I was in Hawaii, actually, the number one thing on my mother-in-law's to-do list of tech stuff for the son-in-law was install Backblaze on her computer, which I definitely did. And I definitely went to backblaze.com/hellointernet to do it. The computer she uses in Hawaii, I am always astounded that it hasn't broken down yet, because Hawaii is not the ideal location for a computer. It's constantly hot. It's constantly humid. I used to worry about the old spinning disk in that machine, but no longer, because now I know that Backblaze has all of her photographs stored safely in the cloud. So the inevitable day when she calls up and says that her computer simply won't boot, one of the problems that we won't have to worry about is, did she lose everything? Backblaze is founded by ex-Apple engineers, but it runs natively on your Mac and your PC. There are no add-ons, there are no gimmicks, no additional charges. It's just $5 per month per computer for unlimited, unthrottled backup. If you or anyone you know is using a computer unprotected, unsafe computing, as it were, make sure to get Backblaze on their computer by going to backblaze.com/hellointernet for a risk-free, no credit card required trial. Sign up today, and thanks to Backblaze for supporting the show.
That would be more amazing than finding out you're Kaiser Soze.
This is the point at which I have to ask, who is Kaiser Soze?
The Usual Suspects. He's the mysterious...
Okay.
Yeah.
Spoilers territory very fast here, it seems like.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's unspoilable, that film now. That's like that film is all about, that's like I see dead people territory for unspoilable now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You've made that judgment?
If there are a couple of films where the twist is so famous that that's all the film is, it's Usual Suspects, isn't it? And I see dead people. Anyway, but I still haven't spoiled anything.
Okay.
Really. Speaking of spoilers, I do want to talk about something about spoilers.
Yeah? You know, I love talking about spoilers. I will talk about spoilers all day.
We're not going to spoil anything but right now, by the way, for people, so don't worry.
Yeah, no, don't worry. We're not going to say I see dead people or anything.
Yeah. Like I said, that's unspoilable.
Brady has declared it. You know where to send your complaints.
Surely there's like a statute of limitations too on spoilers.
No, there's not a statute of limitations on spoilers. I fundamentally disagree with that very notion. You know, new people are born every day. Brand new people manufactured who have not seen The Sixth Sense. You know that, right? Like, they exist.
Yeah, of course.
So there can't be an expiration date.
Yeah, but okay. And also, let's not tell them how World War II ended either.
It's not a fucking spoiler, Brady. God.
I'm just winding you up. You should be immune to wind-ups like that by now. That was just a throwaway wind-up. I didn't even think that'd get a bite. I can't believe it. If you're that easy to wind up today, I've got plenty more in the tank. You've shown me your exhaust port, oh Death Star Grey. Now I know where to fire the torpedoes. Anyway, I want to talk to you about spoilers.
Okay, what do you want to talk about with spoilers?
In the wake of our Star Wars episode, I've now been listening to a few more reviews and podcasts and things about Star Wars. I didn't listen to any or have anything to do with any until we recorded ours.
Yeah, we intentionally both didn't read any reviews or listen to anything before recording our Star Wars show because that kind of stuff can influence your own thoughts, and we wanted to go in pure to our recording of the show. But yes, as soon as we had finished recording, I too was like, oh boy, now I can listen to all the other podcasts about Star Wars.
I'll tell you what, Gray, we needn't have bothered. Almost every single one I've listened to so far may as well be an exact rerun of what we did. I was almost annoyed by how similar or even all the phrasing was.
That's what makes things interesting, is to see like this is a movie that has remarkable consensus.
Is that good? Like, even when the criticisms are the same, like the praise and the criticisms are the same, is that the sign of a good film, or is that the sign of a safe, boring film? Is that the sign of a clever film? I mean, what do you read into the fact that everyone feels the same way about almost everything?
Maybe you could say that it is an indication of a bit of a safe film. I'm not sure that consensus is an indication one way or the other. It is just a thing that with movies, sometimes across the spectrum, people's opinions line up about, oh, it's a good movie, or it's not a good movie, or it's a good movie except for this part. So I'm not willing to say that consensus in and of itself is a bad or positive indicator. But it is remarkable with Star Wars, and I was super aware of that as well. Like, man, every one of these podcasts is hitting the exact same points as us.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying consent. Like, if everyone thinks a film is good, that's probably a sign it's a good film. Mm-hmm. But what the consensus that kind of almost worries me a bit is the detail of it, how everyone agrees on everything. Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost a bit strange, and everyone's interpreting the same things the same way, and the same little minor criticisms are the same. Maybe it's a sign that we listen to a podcast by people that are too similar to us. I don't know,
or it's just an expression of the nerd mind in its various places. Right?
Yeah.
Different people with different nerd minds like still come to the same conclusions.
Yeah. So anyway, the one thing that is starting to get on my nerves a little bit, and I know that I'm a bit biased here because I did have the main twist of Star Wars spoiled for me, but I don't think this is why I'm about to say what I'm saying. I'm getting a little bit annoyed by this cult of spoiler avoidance. How people who managed to see it without being spoiled and who didn't watch any of the trailers and didn't go on Twitter for 8 months before the film because they didn't want anything ruined are kind of like speaking as if they see the film through superior eyes because they were pure and untainted. And I don't know. I think they're coming across like a bit cockish.
I feel like you're talking about me because I did all these things. Like
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm going to keep talking in a way that you might think I'm talking about you, but I'm not talking about you here. But
okay.
But you may project it onto you. And,
okay.
And the other thing is the people who are doing it, like some of the extremes they went to avoid spoilers, like they stopped communicating with their friends. And they completely shut down areas of their life, like, social media, parts of their life, and they went to these extreme measures. And if you were describing a cult, two of the things you would say about people who have joined a cult would be they're real zealots and feel really superior about the thing they're doing, and they're starting to act really strangely to their friends and cutting off their friends. And that's what these sort of cult of spoiler people are doing. I think that, I've been listening to a few podcasts, and like people are constantly talking about how they avoided spoilers more than they're talking about the film. And I don't think you have that superior an experience. Like not knowing is nice, and it's a nice surprise, but you're still seeing the same film. I can't even remember if I knew the twist of the Empire Strikes Back when I saw the film. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if I already knew the thing I won't say because people have been born that haven't seen Empire Strikes Back, and Grey might not let me.
There you go.
But when that amazing thing happens in Empire Strikes Back, I can't remember if it was spoiled for me or not, but I still remember thinking Empire Strikes Back was awesome. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you have to see a film pure and virginal to enjoy the film. And I think all these people who manage to avoid the spoilers, I'm happy for you, and I'm happy you enjoyed the film, but get off your high horse.
I don't think cults normally have definitive endpoints where you engage in cultist behavior until exactly someday, and then, oh, okay, never again. Cult is a little bit overblown here.
Well, maybe. It is a bit weird though.
Yeah, but you're lucky that this is like a once in a lifetime phenomenon, right? Like I don't think this is going to be even remotely as intense for the second movie when it comes out. I will, and I'm sure other people will want to avoid spoilers for the second movie, but I think it's just totally different when it's the first one and it's been, a decade and a half since the last. I think this is just unique in your life, Brady, so you never have to worry about it again.
We'll see.
Don't let these cult members bother you.
We'll see. Although you are one of those people, Grey, can I just say you are one of the less annoying ones. You've got your little peculiar things about you, and one of them was your spoiler avoidance with this film, but you weren't annoying.
I'm glad to know that for you at least I was less annoying. I will still just say in defense of avoiding spoilers for all kinds of movies that the experience of watching a thing with knowing as little about it as you can is different from all of the subsequent watchings of a movie. And I think that's the thing that people are trying to protect. Like, of course, you'll watch a movie again when you've seen it the first time and you think, oh, like, I really like this movie, and you pick up on different things. But there is something unique about the first time that you see a movie. And if you can condense and remove as much information from that experience, it's just a much better experience. And I've said to you before, I like to do the same thing with books, especially like on the occasions that I read fiction. I like to pick up a book knowing almost nothing about the plot. And when you do that, you discover like how it's just a different experience, that a lot of the setup feels different than if you know, like, oh, what the overall plot of the book or the movie is.
I agree with you, Grey, right? I agree with you. And I would always recommend for someone to avoid spoilers. And I avoided Star Wars spoilers. And certainly for the day or two after the film had come out and I hadn't seen it, I was a lot more wary than I normally would be. So I'm not saying don't avoid spoilers. I guess the thing that I'm a little bit funny about are the people who are like a bit snooty about it and a bit preachy about it and a bit pretentious about it. But also...
Can you use your pretentious voice to describe how they talk about themselves?
Yes, I actually didn't switch on my computer for 5 years.
There you go.
As soon as I heard J.J. Abrams was directing, I went and sealed myself in a cocoon.
I like it. This voice seems to be amplifying very quickly. I like this. This is good.
And two films. I mean, I remember when I first saw The Matrix. I didn't even know what it was about. I just got a ticket from my dad because he was a theatre critic and said, "You can go and see this film." And I had no idea what I was even walking into. Mm-hmm. And like my head exploded. and also I remember I went with a friend and saw Pulp Fiction, and I had no idea who even had made the film. Mm-hmm. I'd never seen Reservoir Dogs at the time. I didn't know who Quentin Tarantino was, and like. An hour into the film, my friend just turned around and like grabbed my arm and said, "This is the best film I've ever seen." And so seeing films when you have no idea is a wonderful thing. This is that same friend also an hour into Schindler's List turned to me and said, "Is this whole film going to be black and white?"
Oh, that's great. This is really depressing,
But there is something to be said as well for the year of hype before a film comes out. And it can be done in the right way. And I think a really good example of that is Jurassic Park. the very first Jurassic Park, I was in a frenzy of excitement about seeing that film because of all the hype and excitement and build up and true, they didn't spoil it and they held back a lot of cool stuff and when you finally saw all the dinosaurs, it was amazing. But like, I wouldn't for the world want to have avoided all the hype and trailers and stuff that preceded Jurassic Park, because that's what made that film such an amazing release when you finally saw it. And I think if you avoid the hype too much, you sometimes miss out on some of the experience of what Hollywood and what movies is. That whole machine of excitement that comes before a film. Like, that machine can sometimes be destructive and can give too much away, but other times it can really enhance the experience.
Well, without a doubt, that human happiness is increased by anticipation. And something like the Jurassic Park movies, they were selling, our dinosaurs are amazing. Like, they're going to blow your mind.
Only the first Jurassic Park movie I liked.
There's only one Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I saw Jurassic Park just a couple years ago again, and I was astounded by how well the graphics held up. I'm like, I can't believe this works. Like, I can see sometimes when they're using puppets and when they're using CGI, but it's just amazing how well some movies age. But that movie, like when they were advertising it, they're going to show you less of the dinosaurs because the dinosaurs are what you're buying the ticket for. Yeah. And also with that, I have the same feeling of, I was really excited for the first Lord of the Rings movies. And I remember, God, back when I was in college, they put out some little tiny online postage stamp size video featurette of some of the initial stuff for Lord of the Rings, like 2 years before the first movie came out. And I remember watching that over and over again, where it was the director just saying how, like, it's amazing we have the technology now to make this movie. But both of those are places where I can't even say they're spoilers because I've read the book. Like, the story exists in some other place. And so I think like Jurassic Park or Lord of the Rings are bad examples for things that you can be excited about because they pre-existed in some other place. Whereas,
but the excitement there is how are they going to execute it? How are they going to make it real?
Right, but that's a totally different excitement from what is the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if they had released a Star Wars novel of the movie a year ahead of time, I feel like, it'd be a very different experience waiting for the Star Wars movie. So I don't think those things are necessarily comparable, Brady.
Can you remember a film being spoiled for you?
I'm trying to think. I know that I have had stuff spoiled. Or there are just movies where I'm fully aware of, like, I'm going to have a different experience because I already know the thing about it. So this actually came up on Boxing Day. We were discussing, but we didn't actually. We were thinking about watching Gone Girl as a movie, and that's an example of, like, I already know the whole story of Gone Girl. I don't even know how I know the whole story, but somehow it is entered into my mind, and so I'm just aware that, like, okay, I will watch this movie in a totally different way than if I wasn't already aware of the plot ahead of time.
Yeah.
So but that's a case where I don't really mind because I'm not super invested in that. Whereas actually, when you talk about cult of spoilers, the worst I ever was with that was avoiding spoilers for The Wire, because I knew that someday I was going to sit down and watch The Wire, but it was never this day. And so I spent years and years, like, ripping out my headphones whenever any podcast would suddenly start talking about The Wire. And I was just very worried about spoilers for this thing that I knew someday I was going to watch. So I spent years avoiding spoilers for a thing that already existed, but I just didn't feel like watching it yet for some reason. Yeah. So that's probably the weirdest behavior I've had. But I mean, have you had any massive spoilers? I mean, aside, of course, from Star Wars.
Well, yeah, I've probably had some, and I've had others where I've avoided things like yourself, where I did that a little bit with Breaking Bad. The thing I'm funny about with spoilers is quite often sport. If I've, like, pre-recorded a game, it happens to me a bit with baseball and sometimes some other sports like football. And Formula One is the classic, because I always watch Formula One races a few hours after they actually happen, because Formula One races usually happen on Sundays, and Sunday's a day when I'm usually out and about doing things with my wife. So I can't watch the race until the evening usually. So I have to be really careful about social media then, because if I know who wins the race, it makes the race very hard to watch. But the funny thing with sports spoilers is, like, I'm a Yankees fan, right? And so if I want to watch a Yankees game, if I find out the result and the Yankees win, I'll still watch the whole game really happily. If I find out they lose, I just won't watch. But if I know they're going to win, I will get just as much enjoyment from watching the game as I would from not knowing the result. In fact, sometimes I might enjoy it more, because even when they're losing, I won't be miserable. I'll be thinking, oh, this is just going to be awesome now, because they're going to come back and win it. Like, I can't wait. This is brilliant. Like, and I'm looking at the happy opponents thinking, you got no idea what's coming, mate. Sports spoilers are a double-edged sword. And for example, if I'm about to watch a Yankees game and it's spoiled and I find out actually the Red Sox are going to win this game, I feel really relieved, because that's 3 hours of my life that I can do something else with, rather than sitting there and being miserable watching them lose.
This to me is just, like, I mean, because I'm not a person who follows sports. I have no problem with people following sports. But it just always strikes me as funny if you say something like, oh boy, I'm really relieved I don't have to watch that game. I feel like, does that feel like something about the sports mind of like, is it really that interesting? I'm not sure that it is.
Think of it this way, Gray. Imagine if there was someone, I know this person could never exist, but imagine if there was someone who you trusted enough, their taste in movies or any cultural things like books, that you could just look to them and say, I'm thinking of seeing this film this afternoon, or I'm thinking of reading this book. And they just gave you a little nod or just a little shake of the head to say, read the book. And they knew maybe you wouldn't like the book, but you should read it because there was some value to it, or it would make you think things, or you would like it. They just knew if it was a valuable use of your time.
Okay. You've convinced me. I've completely changed my mind. You're right. I see this in a different way.
Because for sport, and the reason that works for sport is because with sport, the result and the team I want to win is the be-all and end-all.
Right.
So that little nod or shake of the head really does just come down to the result most of the time.
Right. Sports feels like World War II. Can there be spoilers? I don't think there can be.
Well, yeah, it's funny. But if my team is going to win, I'd rather not know. But, you can't do it. It doesn't work that way. So it's very difficult.
I'm sorry about your sports spoiler difficulties.
My sport viewing's gone downhill the last year or so. I really need to pick that up.
Yeah, it has gone downhill. We were watching darts. That was at Boxing Day. It was
I wanted to see what darts look like.
Horrifically poorly designed sport that you just kept trying to really sell me on, and I was completely unsold.
For people listening, Gray's problem with darts is he thinks it just should be a competition to see who can hit the bullseye. Basically,
it just blows my mind that darts is not about hitting the bullseye. Like I can hardly even. We must have spent, I don't know, like an hour arguing over this, and you're like, oh no, they don't try to hit the bullseye. And okay, so listener, you might be thinking, if you're unfamiliar with darts, oh, there must be more complexity to it then. Like there's a thing that's going on and maybe it's a much more interesting game. No, instead, they're just trying to hit a little red rectangle that's just a few inches above the bullseye every time until the very end. So they might as well, they don't even dare cut me off. They might as well be hitting the bullseye. It's just, if they're just going to be aiming for the red square above the bullseye, why don't they just aim for the goddamn bullseye because it's a dartboard? It's just infuriating. I couldn't believe this.
I felt like on the day when I finally explained the nuance of darts to you and why that's not true, I felt like you got there in the end, and I feel like now you regressed.
No. There's no regression. It's not. First of all, we had to be more civil because the wives were around, right? Like just like strangle you like I wanted to. Okay, you're sitting there all smug about like, oh, darts is so.
No,
amazing.
I was standing up at the TV pointing to parts of the dartboard on the TV so that you could understand.
It's just, I could not believe the rules of darts. I mean, it was kind of fun to see it on TV. I'm not saying that like darts is dumb. Like I always like that no matter what the activity is in the world, there's a group of people who are super into the thing. And to me, like that, this is just the great thing about the modern world is that no matter what it is, no matter how obscure your interests are, there's going to be a group of people who are into a thing. And so aside from the actual rules of the game, which I thought were ridiculous, I did think it was fun to see that he was up at Alexandria Palace in North London. But
Ali Pally.
Ali Pally, is that what they call it?
That's what the darts people call it.
Ali Pally.
Yeah, let's go to Ali Pally.
Yeah. But I did love that there was like this arena for the darts players, and they had cheerleaders and like big lights and swooping cameras. Like I like that whole thing I do love. I love that this can exist in the modern world. But the fact that they're not aiming at the bullseye, they're aiming at something just slightly north of the bullseye every time. That's infuriating. You need to change that rule of darts.
Please, people, don't go to Twitter or Reddit or email to explain the rules of darts to Gray and I. I explained the rules of darts to Gray.
Yeah.
I explained why there's a lot more to it than that.
No, there's not. There's not a lot more to it.
I swear, at the time, it felt like he understood.
Yeah, no, I understand right now. I understand right now. It's the triple 20 where you're counting down from 500, and at the very end you have to get it. It's like at 0. I understand. Like we went through the whole thing.
And you understand the targets move around depending on the state of the game and your success.
No, it only
mistakes.
it only matters at the very end. You do 4 throws where you're always trying to hit the same little rectangle, and then only
Gray.
at the end when you're getting to 0, then does it change. I understand perfectly. I understand exactly how this works.
You clearly didn't. This is my failure. This is my failure.
No, this is a failure.
Your
of darts.
ignorance is my failure.
No, this is how darts works. It's
I take full responsibility for Gray's misunderstanding here, and I will work on it further.
Here whatsoever. No, we will not work on it any further.
Do you know what? You and I should go and
play
play darts. We should play darts. That's what we should do.
All right. We can play darts.
That feels like a sport you'd play.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Like I can't see you ever strapping on the cricket pads and letting me send down a few bounces at you.
Cricket.
But I think you'd play darts with me.
Yeah. I wonder. I don't think the pub that we meet up in normally has a dartboard, but I'd play darts with you sometime.
All right, we'll find a darts venue.
All right, it's a date. Our 4th date.
Let's talk flags. Flag vote follow-up.
Yeah, we had our big referendum. We haven't had a chance to talk about it because Star Wars took precedence for a while. Your £1 million might have taken precedence, but it didn't. No. So flag follow-up now.
Do you know what? I'm in the lottery tonight, though. You probably don't know this, but there's a huge jackpot in the lottery in the UK tonight.
Oh, yeah?
And it has to be won. So if no one wins it, they divvy up all the money to the second place getters. So that apparently, as of an hour ago, they were selling 400 tickets a second.
Wow. People
really are mathematically illiterate, aren't they? But I was one of them because I got my tickets for tonight.
Mr. Numberphile, mathematically illiterate.
In fact, I think the draw's happened, so you could right now be speaking to a millionaire.
Well, let's continue on with the show, shall we?
All right. Let's continue on with what could be our last show.
Right.
The flag vote. Mm-hmm. So there are lots of little bitty bits of follow-up, really. The first thing I want to do is I just want to tip my hat to those people who were so dedicated that they watched our epic video of us sorting the votes, and they were obviously watching frame by frame because these people have screen captured the moment that we threw their postcard into whatever bin we threw it into, and they've been posting them on social media and zooming in and enhancing and putting red circles around postcards saying, look, there's my vote going into the bin. And I have been seeing those tweets, and I just want to say good on you. I admire you. I think you've I don't want you to feel like you did that for nothing, because you probably did do it for nothing. But,
they did it for the satisfaction of finding their vote. I'm really glad that people were able to find their votes. I think it's extra funny, though, that some people got really lucky because the way we threw the votes, they would land in really prominent positions for long sections of the video. I was like, oh, those people had it on easy mode. They're like, oh, great. My vote was visible at the front of the bin for the entire video. It's like those people were very lucky in that case. But yeah, I'm glad people were able to go through and find their votes and see them in action. And we now have a time lapse of the whole thing up on YouTube. Is that right? Or at least it will be up when the podcast goes up.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's condensed down to a couple of minutes, maybe, the whole thing, with a bit of Hello Internet inspired music composed by Alan Stewart, who made our little Hello Internet song, our little Hello Internet, tone at the start of the episodes. He's used that he's used that as the inspiration for this little piece of music that goes with it. So you can have a look at that. It'll be even harder to spot your vote on that because obviously it goes by at a million miles a second.
Well, are we still putting up the real-time one? What's the story with that? Because you're in charge of this.
I do intend to do that. Obviously, that will be spoiler-tastic for people who avoid Grey's face because I'm already getting my knuckles wrapped for Grey's face gate on the other video. So
I put up to try to minimize the number of people who were yelling at you. I put up little annotations that people can click when the spoiler is coming up. So it says like Grey's face spoiler coming up. Click here to avoid, and then it jumps forward 10 seconds because I did feel bad about how many comments you were getting. But it's like you put together a video with thousands of cuts. Like it was inevitable that there was.
I didn't even see them. I did sometimes I did crop out your face of some shots, but anyway, so keep an eye on the Hello Internet YouTube channel for all that kind of stuff, and we'll obviously talk about it on social media and stuff. But the Hello Internet YouTube channel is the place to go for people who do want to see some postcards like in full HD deluxe. Can I also do a little plug for what has become essentially my passion project, which is podcastpostcards.com. And what's happening there is every day at 3:33 p.m. UK time, a new postcard is going up on that blog. And I scan at high resolution the front and the back so you can pore over it in all its detail. And sometimes I try to make the postcard relevant to the day. So if it's like the National Day of Cameroon, I'll try and make a postcard from Cameroon that day. So sometimes they're themed, sometimes they're just ones that have caught our eye. And I'm really loving doing this, and I'm scared. I'm spending way too much time on it for something that is not getting like a whole lot of traffic. But I'm spending
and the return on investment is negative.
Oh yeah, it's a huge loss maker. But I'm just getting so much pleasure from it, and like I'm programming these blogs to like go up on certain dates in the future, and I'm already like towards the end of the year, like on anniversaries of famous things at the end of the year, I've already got that blog post already done with a relevant postcard.
Look at you!
And stuff. Yeah, I'm really loving it. Like it's just become it's always become like a therapeutic thing I do. It's kind of mindless and lovely, and it's nice to look through all these lovely pictures, and it's nice to have a bit of a connection with some of the listeners, and it's an easy job to do, and it's a bit fun. So go and have a look. It's podcastpostcards.com. There is also a Twitter for it and stuff. But if people look at it, it will make me happy because I'm spending so much time doing it.
Yeah, people should definitely look. And I have to say, I have been really enjoying it as well. It's just very interesting to see the different postcards. And of course, my experience is a little bit different because we just did not have time on the day to really look through everything. Yeah. And I'm enjoying these postcards in their digital form. And I love that you're scanning them at high resolution, and I go on the site and I check it out. And this is how I can appreciate the uniqueness of each of these things. It's like, oh wow, I have time to look at them and check them out and see the little details that people put in there. I like that you have your late ballot stamp that you put on top of some of the postcards. It's really nice.
And you can see what people wrote, and you can see what stamps they used and stuff. It's really fun. I really like it.
Yeah, and I always just love, this is almost like in the same way that the internet, I always feel like, oh, people are just so clever on the internet. People have been really clever with some of the postcards as well. Like I'm looking at one right now, which is that famous picture of soldiers in World War II raising the flag, but they've photoshopped it so that it's the white cross flag, which was the one that this person was voting for. Like I just love that people do these things.
Do you know what I'm surprised hasn't happened yet by some super fan or nerd? I'm surprised no one is keeping a running vote score just based on the postcards that have gone onto the blog, like a running tally of who would be winning the vote if they were the only ones that were cast. But I'm sure that will now happen.
Yeah. I'm sure that will happen now, but
yeah, there is a Reddit dedicated to the postcards, so it'll probably appear there, I imagine. But
there's a
but anyway,
Reddit for everything.
there is a Reddit for everything. But anyway, go and check out that website. You can just dip in once a week or once a month and go and look at all the past ones, or you can look every day if you're a proper super enthusiast.
You can be frantically refreshing at 3:32 every day.
There are straggler votes coming in as well. I just a couple of days ago I went and picked up some more late votes. They're not having to give us a separate cardboard box anymore. Our own post box is now enough to hold the 5 or 6 late votes that come in each day.
Did you return all of the misdirected mail that we got?
Yes.
Like all of those messages to Steve and everybody else?
Yes, I've taken those back to the post place and said, can you sort these out? So they have been returned. Hopefully they will find their way to where they were supposed to be.
I was kind of hoping you would be like Santa Claus and hand deliver them yourself around the neighborhood and explain to everybody what the situation was.
While I am prone to wasting vast amounts of my time on pointless projects, that would be a step too far, I think.
I like that idea, though. Like, oh, it's your friendly neighborhood Brady delivering the misdirected mail.
I'm not opposed to people still sending us postcards with what they would have voted for. They just have to know they're going to get a late ballot stamp on them, and they won't be counted, of course. But they still might appear on the blog one day, and they'll go into this huge collection I have in my office of postcards.
Yeah, your collection looks lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you are the keeper of the postcards.
Yeah, you can come and look at them anytime.
I will.
Just make an appointment.
No, I'm just going to show up. You'll like that. I'll just show up at your house, Brady.
That would be a nice surprise. I wouldn't mind.
I think you would. I think you would be really freaked out if I just showed up at your door one day.
I'd think something dramatically bad had happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't. If you then said, no, everything's fine, I just thought it would be a nice surprise. I'd think, brilliant, let's go for lunch. Let's play darts. This Hello Internet episode has once again been brought to you by Squarespace. Now, we talk all the time about how great Squarespace is. I mean, even today, you've heard me talk about the new podcast postcards website. Well, I'm doing that entirely with Squarespace, and I can tell you it's an absolute pleasure. Some of my other old websites started many years ago, and, well, they've become a real mess to design and update. It's a nightmare every time I have to even go and look at them. Not so with the sites designed and updated with Squarespace. Like my daily blog, the podcasts, the Hello Internet site, they're all an absolute dream. Now, I think it's possible some of you may not really understand what I'm talking about. What is Squarespace? How does this work? Really, my best advice is do this. Go to squarespace.com, just follow all the steps, it's easy as pie, and just set up your own test site. Maybe a blog or a portfolio, some idea you've always wanted to try. You can do this really quickly, no credit card required. You don't need to do any of that. You can just go and play, basically. Within minutes, I think you'll be sold on it when you see just how easy it is to make a really amazing website. Professional looking, looks good on all devices, computers, tablets, phones, without you having to even think about that. You just don't have to worry about all that techie stuff. You've just got to think about what you want to be on the site. Everything else is handled behind the scenes. Although if you are techie, you can tweak that stuff too. There is scope to do that if you want to really get into the code. So go to squarespace.com, give it a go, and if you sign on for the real deal, you're looking at packages starting from as little as $8 a month. And if you do that, you can get 10% off your first purchase using the discount code HELLO. That also lets them know you're a Hello Internet listener, which we like. So that's squarespace.com and then hello when you sign on for real. Seriously, have a look at it. I can't tell you how easy it is, but also how great it is. Squarespace, build it beautiful. Here's the situation, because everyone wants to know what's happening with the flag.
Mm-hmm.
I have decided, and discussed it with you, that we are having some really professional versions of the winning flag, nail and gear, made.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to a proper flag company about different ways they can make it, and they're going to do like sewn versions with all the ropes and toggles and everything like that.
Like a real flag.
Well, I'm calling it the pro flag because you know I like anything that's pro.
Perfect.
Yeah. So what I did the other day was I'm about to order some, and I thought, well, maybe there'll be some listeners who would like one of these, and I'll order one for them too. So I've made a little section on my blog where you can go, and if you want one, you can get one. But they are very expensive. And also, you know, because it's part of supporting the podcast and the amount of time I'm going to have to spend mailing them and dealing with all people's requests and stuff. They have to be expensive, don't they? They can't just, I can't just do it for free. So some people said, oh, I'd really love one of those, but they're really expensive.
Making the Pro of anything, it's just more expensive because it's super high quality. That's just the way it is. Like, it's not.
And I have to deal with it. And I do have like work I'm supposed to do. So it has to be worth the time.
Do you though? Because you seem to spend your time just, scanning postcards and
all right, okay,
around.
Okay, well, maybe that's a bad example, but all right. Let's say maybe I'm hoping I can use the profits from selling flags to indulge my scanning habit. But anyway, that's by the by. We know people want a copy of the flag, and they don't want to have to pay Flag Pro prices, which is completely reasonable. So hopefully by the time this podcast goes out, or very soon, if not, check the links in all the usual places. We are talking to DFTBA, who do our FITOTRON 5000 t-shirt and the Hello Internet t-shirt, about having Nail and Gear t-shirts and also a cheaper Nail and Gear flag made that you can buy through them. Because you and I don't then have to deal with it.
Right.
We can make them, super cheap.
Right. It's not like a one-off order.
Yeah, and we don't have to. And we don't have to sign it and stuff like that. You're just getting it from the factory, and you can get one, and you're supporting the podcast as well. Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. That's gonna be there. And finally, the final issue is you could make your own, I guess. What do you think about that, Gray?
Well, yeah, we were discussing it before that, and the thing about this is we did this big referendum. We're choosing a flag for the growing nation of Hello Internet.
Yeah, it's for the Tims.
Yeah, it's for the Tims.
Yeah.
And for the Tims to show their allegiance.
Yeah.
To march around with.
It was voted on by the Tims for the Tims.
Right. And so we were saying that we just wanted to make it the official policy that the flag design belongs to the community. So if you want to make your own flag, if you want to print your own flag, go nuts with it. And I will I'll put it in the show notes. I'll make available the high quality vector so that people can download it and play around with it. But I really feel like we happen to be putting together a flag for people to buy if they want out of convenience, but the flag belongs to the people because it came from the people. So go nuts with it, everybody. Like, this is your flag, and we want you to have fun with it.
But I have to say, I'm quite looking forward to my Flag Pro.
I can't wait to see the Flag Pro in person.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
All right.
Flying from our headquarters.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, by the way, one person already has printed the flag and flown it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I can't remember who they were. Maybe I can find them. Hang on, Gray. At Ryag Branfrey. It put first flag ever to see the wind, ? And they are flying the flag from a flagpole in a sort of really snowy location. It's quite impressive, actually, Gray.
Is it Antarctica that they're flying the flag from?
It kind of looks like it. So because of your Antarctica video, everyone's also now saying, is this Antarctica, and are you claiming Antarctica and stuff like that?
I mean, I think we have claimed Antarctica. I think that video is officially claiming Antarctica for the nation of Hello Internet. Okay. That's all you need to do, right?
You can't look at Twitter, can you, because of your ban? So
I'm back now. It's been 2 months. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't really gone on very much, but I can look now.
Oh no, I've just sent it to you on iMessage anyway, the picture, so you can see it. The Nail and Gear proudly flying.
Very cool.
And it looks magnificent.
It does. It looks absolutely magnificent.
And it's a beacon of postcard democracy.
Beacon of postcard democracy. So one more thing I just want to mention about the referendum, which I quite enjoyed, which is that Nail and Gear won. We had our preference distribution.
It was a comfortable victory, if not a landslide.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was a comfortable victory.
Yeah.
Just like in any nation, there's always opposition. And I cannot help but notice that the opposition seems to have coalesced around Flaggy Flag in a way that I think is really interesting. Like, looking at all of the discussions, I don't see anybody who is coalescing around the other versions. It's just, but there is like strong minority support for Flaggy Flag.
Interesting.
Flaggy Flag has developed its own subreddit. There's like a Twitter account that's promoting it. I've seen in a bunch of the conversations, like Flaggy Flag has definitely attracted its little subgroup. And so my feeling on this is like Flaggy Flag has become the rebel flag of the Hello Internet nation. Like this seems to be what it really is. Like the flag of the opposition is Flaggy Flag.
Or the could have been, like the could, the what could have been, the alternate history.
Yeah. I just think it is really interesting post-election to see that there is no discussion of the other versions. Like I don't see anybody really like, oh, Club and Claw forever, right? No, it's always Flaggy Flag forever. So I feel like Flaggy Flag is the unofficial, official rebel flag of the podcast.
Just today, the day we're recording, one of the postcards I put onto the blog, the new website, was the late vote that came after the deadline from Dirk of Veristablium fame.
Oh, yes?
And he voted for Flaggy Flag and even wrote on his postcard, the one true flag, flag of truth, I think he wrote. So we'll have to pick his brain next time we speak to him and find out why he thinks Flaggy Flag has done this, because he was an advocate of that one as well.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see the discussion before and the discussion after the election. And the Flaggy Flag people, they're serious. They're no joke.
Is it legitimate for me to ask you, as the queen of diamonds of Hello Internet, how you feel about Flaggy Flag, or is that something you can't comment on for diplomatic reasons? Or what are your feelings towards Flaggy Flag as a flag?
I mean, here's the thing. I have done what I've said I've done, which is that I am the embodiment of the will of the people. I have no opinion on any of these flags, except, of course, for Nail and Gear, which is the one true flag of the Hello Internet nation.
Wow.
That's what we represent.
You are being a true monarch, Gray. You are really towing the line there. I got to respect that.
What about you, Brady? Do you have any thoughts?
I grew a really strong attachment to Flaggy Flag.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have been sad if it won.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not win.
It did not win.
And Nail and Gear is our flag.
And it is a magnificent flag.
It is magnificent. It is a worthy winner because it is what the Tims wanted.
Yeah. And it comes in a pro version.
And you can get Nail and Gear Pro. You like that, don't you? I knew you'd like that.
I think that's great. I love that.
I just really wanted to quickly mention our Hotstopper fundraiser.
I was just wondering about that the other day.
Yeah, there is a obviously we are raising money for the Children's Burns Trust here in the UK in the hope that our campaigning to raise money for them will also stick in the mind of Starbucks UK and get them to really get moving with doing a better job of stocking Hot Stoppers in all their branches.
Right.
I can't believe I'm working so hard on this when it's your thing. But anyway,
you are a media manipulator. Is what you are, Brady.
We have now raised over £1,000 for the Children's Burns Trust. We'll put a link in the show notes if you want to go and see the fundraising page. And come on, Starbucks UK, that's more than £1,000 that people have paid in the interests of Hot Stoppers. And I think you should be paying attention to that.
And those Hot Stoppers, they can't cost more than 1,000th of a penny to manufacture. So let's think of, there's like 100,000 Hot Stoppers right there. Like that's what that represents.
I would get told off for that level of simplification, but anyway, I'll let you do it.
No. It's 100% legit if I do it.
Okay.
But yeah, we need those Hot Stoppers. Just 2 days ago, my wife sent me a photograph of a Hot Stopper disaster that could have been prevented with some hot chocolate that she got from Starbucks. And it spilled everywhere out of the lid. And it's like a simple hot stopper. It would have fixed this. Fixed this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I've been doing, Brady? One of the listeners suggested this. And when they first suggested it, I thought, oh, well, that's a sad thing that I'll just never do. But now I do it, of course, which is that in Starbucks, to try to at least mitigate hot stopper-like problems, You take one of the straws and fold it in half and kind of shove it in the little opening.
That's such an un-Grey solution.
I hate it on so many levels. It's inelegant. It's ugly. It doesn't even really work. But here I find myself doing this, and it's just barbaric. It is the only way to describe this. It's like we have a perfect solution. What?
I've got an idea, Grey.
What?
Why don't we take like that picture that your wife took and other pictures of people with hot chocolate spilled down their white shirts or scald marks on their hands, and force Starbucks to print them on their cups, like the warnings they have on cigarette packets. Like to say, be careful or this could happen to you.
Right.
And force Starbucks to do it unless they're willing to stock hot stoppers in all their shops. Give them the choice. If you've had a serious spill as a result of not having a hot stopper, send us your pictures and we'll pull together a photo archive of the worst disasters that could have been prevented.
Yeah. Had only Starbucks used hot stoppers.
I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe the whole Exxon Valdez things could have been avoided if there was a big enough hot stopper.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they were just missing at the top of the ship. And they're just sailing around in the open seas with a little hole at the top. Oh, I'm sure this will never matter. If everything goes fine, if we just drive more carefully, we never have to worry.
How can we stop this oil getting out into the sea? I know, Captain. We'll use this giant hot stopper. Good work, Jim. There's been a bit of news, Grey.
Yeah.
Big news for someone who makes videos about the periodic table, such as your good friend Brady.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. 4 new elements have been confirmed as official. The final 4 elements on the conventional periodic table, actually. So now the people who have been responsible for synthesizing these elements have been told, okay, you can name them. So we're going to have 4 new elements named, probably within the next few months, I suspect.
Okay, two questions.
Okay.
So these are the elements that previously had those like unium kind of names?
That's correct. In fact, I'll tell you exactly what elements they are. If you let me call this up. So the elements are 113, 115, 117, and 118. Just for people listening who aren't too into chemistry, I'll just really quickly explain. What happens is it's not like someone has been digging in the ground and has found new elements. With these really big elements, they can't hold together. They're too big and they just fall apart in less than a second. So what they do is they create these huge particle accelerator machines and smash atoms into each other billions and billions and billions of times. And then just occasionally a couple will stick to each other. They'll hit each other in just the perfect way and they'll stick for a second. And scientists can do certain observations to say, yep, 113 was there existing for a second or so. Mm-hmm. And once all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, this organisation called IUPAC, which is in charge of the periodic table and stuff, says, okay, done deal, you did the job, now you can give it a name. So these 4 elements, which are the only 4 that don't have names on the existing periodic table until they make it bigger and put another row on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm looking at a picture of a periodic table right now, and yeah, there were always these like gaps on the bottom of elements that we know should be there but aren't.
Yeah.
In theory, you can keep smashing protons together, and so you could imagine a periodic table with an additional row. We just never made it that way because it wasn't sensible.
Yeah, because you would have just had a whole row of fantasy elements.
Right. Okay.
But now they may do that, and of course there is also the famed and possible island of stability, where they think maybe at certain numbers atoms can actually hold together for some time. So there may be some numbers up high, maybe in the 130s, where they don't just fall apart in a nanosecond. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. The thing that I think is interesting was possible names for these 4 elements. And I mean, it is fantasy chemistry a bit, because these are obviously going to be named for probably along more political and national lines.
Sure not. No.
I mean, 113 is definitely going to have a Japanese name, because there's no Japanese name on the periodic table, and this was discovered by a Japanese collaboration. So they're obviously going to take their chance to name an element after Japan or something like that.
Japanium.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could be anything, Nipponium or Nihanian or something, Tokyoium, I don't know. But I imagine that's going to get a Japanese name. But 115, 117, and 118 are all done by this sort of Russian-American collaboration. So they have been showing form recently of going down very nationalistic grounds. And I have it on good authority. This is wink, wink, possible gossip that Moscovium is going to be one of them.
Oh, interesting.
But that's sort of just a rumor doing the rounds.
Doing the rounds in the chemistry community. Moscovium sounds good. It's a good name.
It does sound good, to be fair. But the Germans, who synthesized a lot of elements, they recently named an element Copernicium after Copernicus. And they could have named it Plancium or named it after a German, but they didn't. They named it after Copernicus. So there is precedent for people saying, you know what, let's be big about this and name it after someone that deserves it rather than just being nationalistic. If it was up to you, if the Queen of Diamonds was given the authority to name an element...
How has it become that the Queen of Diamonds is a title as opposed to the playing card that I am? When did this switch happen?
I don't know. I don't even know. When did anything happen? Are there any elements, are there any people or places or things you'd like to see honoured? Because I think being honoured with the name of an element, that's bigger than a Nobel Prize, I think. That's massive.
Would you rather have an element named after you, or would you rather have the $1 million francs of the Nobel Prize and the Nobel Prize?
Element named after me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really interesting.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I take the money and the career opportunities that a Nobel Prize would afford.
What, you don't think being the only living person with an element named after you, because elements can only be named after dead people according to the rules, you don't think being a living person with an element named after you wouldn't provide marketing opportunities?
Yeah, not very many. Not very many,
okay.
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Maybe you're right.
I think that's the kind of thing that it's like, oh, this is an interesting piece of trivia at a party. But if I have a career where I've won a Nobel Prize and I also have the $1 million francs, this is something that means something to me. But the periodic table is immortality.
There is someone who was asked that question who had both honours, and that was Glenn Seaborg. Seaborgium was named after him. It was named after him while he was alive, which was an exception. And he won a Nobel Prize. And he said having the element named after him meant more to him and was the greater honour.
Well, yeah, but he was also a chemist. Like it's a very, like, I'm not a chemist, and sorry, chemistry, but you were always one of my least favorite sciences. I was never very good at chemistry. I found it to be boring stamp collecting, as all physicists do, and so that's why, periodic table. Okay, I'll take the money. Is what I will do. Before I get a million tweets from everybody, I have, in my old age, mellowed in my thoughts on chemistry, and I'm much more fine with it now than I used to be. So please don't send me tweets being like, "Oh, you need to understand how important chemistry is." It's like, yeah, I get it. But I used to be a real jerk about it.
Well, that said, any thoughts about names of elements? Anything?
Well, so here's the problem: because chemistry is not my strong suit, I would have a hard time coming up with a chemistry person who is not already honored on the periodic table.
Well, Copernicus wasn't a chemist. This decision was just taken that he was a great man of science and deserved to be honored on this icon of science.
Yeah, I can see that. Copernicum, and that's not a great name. It's not a great name.
I think people tend to say Copernicium.
Oh, Copernicium? I think this is like the Americium, which I always thought was Americum. And I was like, that's a terrible name for an element. It's Americum. That's awful.
Yeah, Americium, yeah.
It's like, no, it's Americium, you idiot.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking of scientists, of course, my favorite scientist is Feynman.
Well, this is one that comes up a lot. Feynmanium is discussed a lot as a possible name.
I was not 100% sure, actually, if he had one of the crazy elements at the end, but I think I'm confusing it with, what is it? It's 100 is fermium. Fermium is the...
Yeah, that's Enrico Fermi. Right. Yeah, that's...
Because we have... Who are actual scientists?
Yeah, that is 100.
We've got curium, right? We've got Einsteinium, fermium,
Mendelevium.
What else is there? I'm just trying to go from
Seaborgium.
Oh, of course, Seaborgium, which I don't think I actually realized until your story was a person.
Nobelium.
Nobelium.
Laurentium.
Oh, you're good at this. Laurentium. Carbon, after Mr. Carbon.
Yeah, Gold after Ari Gold from Entourage.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, so
I'm out. I'm tapped.
Silver after David Silver from Beverly Hills 90210.
You're going deep now. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, but the problem is that I just like Feynman, and in no small part because of his books and his stories and his just incredible, captivating way of talking. Like, I've seen all of the videos of him talking and listened to his physics lectures and everything. I'm a big Feynman fan. I don't know if I was a serious scientist and sitting down and thinking like, wow, I have the responsibility of coming up with an element name. What am I going to pick? I don't know if I would pick Feynman. Copernicium is more possible because it's just like, oh, a great man of science from a long time ago seems very different to me than a modern physicist.
Yeah.
I can't explain that very well, but it just seems right in my mind that's
Yeah. I mean,
that's
Isaac
different.
Newton. Isaac Newton is not on the periodic table.
Yeah. And it feels like he shouldn't be.
No, you're right. Can I just mention one other scientist that we forgot to mention having an element named after them?
Yeah.
And that is Lisa Meitner and Meitnerium. And the only reason I want to mention that is because she was absolutely snubbed for the Nobel Prize when she shouldn't have been. And the one saving grace was they named an element after her to make it up for her. And if we then forgot to mention she had an element named after her, it would have been like deliciously ironic that she got forgotten again. So I want to mention Lisa Meitner.
That's 109 Meitnerium?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It is. Bohrium, Rutherfordium.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there's a whole bunch that we're missing out on. We're bad at this.
Yeah.
We're joking about silver.
Yeah.
This is our level.
Stop screaming at the podcast, people.
Yeah, I think all the chemists have checked out by now.
Yeah.
But what about you, Brady? What do you think? What do you think for the names?
Do you know what? I asked you earlier to come up with some suggestions. And yeah, I haven't really got any of my own. I kind of like it when they name them. I don't know. I quite like them being named after places sometimes, but there's not many American places left, though.
There's San Francisco-ium.
Well, they've got Berkelium, named after Berkeley.
That's what I was saying, San Francisco-ium.
And they've got Californium. The one place that has been involved with this that hasn't been acknowledged is the facility at Oak Ridge in Tennessee. I mean, could we get Tennessee-nium? I don't know.
Teenium.
I don't know how to go. I mean, I like the sound of Planckium, and I think Max Planck was a pretty spot-on scientist.
Yeah, and he's close-ish to chemistry, sort of.
Yeah. But then, are Japanese, Russians, or Americans going to honor Max Planck? I doubt it.
You know what? We should go in a radically different way here. Why don't we just... somehow we're in charge now, is in my mind.
Yeah.
This flip just happened. I came with an idea and suddenly decided I'm in charge.
Hey, we've got a post box. Let's have it decided with postcards.
Yeah. Why don't we just come up with new names? Like, why it doesn't have to be named after something. There's so many of the elements that the name is just what it is.
Just call it like Zod.
Well, that's General Zod from Superman, which might not be the best choice. But
he probably hasn't done enough to have an element named after him at this stage.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Although his viral video of being an angry college sorority girl was very good, but probably not
not periodic table worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Not yet.
Yeah, but very good. That'd be Beckium would be his element there.
Right.
Like the early names of the elements: oxygen, helium, carbon, nitrogen, aluminum, silver, gold. These are words that mean something because they're just the sequence of sounds that are an element name. Why don't we just come up with another sequence of sounds? There are plenty of unused sequence of sounds. I think this is a radical direction that we need to go. I think that's what I'm coming down on.
I don't know why they've standardized it the way they have. There must be a reason with all these EMs. Maybe it's just to make them obviously elements, but...
But I'm thinking we need something else that's like a gold, right? Just a word. There's unused sounds.
inventing words, as a now famous inventor of words,
Right.
I can tell you.
You're a professional here.
Yeah, inventing words is not easy though, is it?
Yeah, but see, you are playing the game on hard mode, where you're trying to come up with words that you want to have spread throughout the general population. Whereas most people are never going to be casually referring to element 113 in their conversations. So you don't have to play that game. You just have to say, listen, we're the people deciding the names for the periodic tables, and it is such that 113 is now this sequence of sounds. You can just declare it so. It's a much easier way to do it this way. Yeah, it doesn't have to be catchy. So that's what I think. I think we need just arbitrary sequences of sounds for these new elements. That's my decision.
Well, I enjoy discussing it, but obviously that's just ridiculous and not going to happen. But
what do you mean? It's not a ridiculous idea, though.
It's not. No,
Not a ridiculous idea.
It's not ridiculous. It would be unfair to call it ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea.
It's not very workable.
Do the scientists have the final say about what the name is going to be? If so, I hope they listen to this podcast.
Oh, well, the Japanese people should just go freestyle and say it has to be a Japanese character.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would actually really like it if they do that. Japanese team, you know what you have to do.
Just hanging out there at the bottom of the periodic table, this really overly complicated Japanese character, which means man with two shoes synthesizes elements on a Tuesday.
This episode of Hello Internet is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word products for you to enjoy. Get a free 30-day trial today by going to audible.com/hellointernet. Audible is a great way to read more books. Whether you're commuting or doing dishes or running errands, there are many times in your life where you can enjoy a book without having to sit down and actually read it. I'm a big fan of listening to nonfiction audiobooks in this way, which brings me to the book that I'm going to suggest for this Audible ad. Now, in the next episode of Hello Internet, Brady and I are going to discuss a little bit Guns, Germs, and Steel. So this isn't a homework assignment. It's not required that you listen to Guns, Germs, and Steel before that episode. But if you want to be absolutely on top of every detail of the conversation, you might want to download Guns, Germs, and Steel from Audible. Now, two things about this suggestion. First, this is one of the rare times when I'm actually happy to recommend the abridged version of the audiobook. Now, of course, Audible, because they have everything, they have the full version, which is something like 16 hours long, but they also have the abridged version. And in my perspective, Jared Diamond is a little repetitive sometimes and has lots and lots of additional details. So I think the abridged version is the one to go for. And secondly, if you do start listening, as with other books that I've recommended in the past, I have a bit of a suggestion of where to start. You want to begin with the prologue, which sets up this whole notion of Yali's question, which is kind of the fundamental question of the book. But when you're listening to the prologue, there's going to come some point where you zone out for a moment, and that's Jared Diamond becoming very Jared Diamond-y. At that moment, my suggestion is you just open up your Audible app and jump forward to 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 30 seconds. That will bring you to chapter 6, which is called How to Make an Almond. The previous 2 hours, in case you're wondering, is basically the setup of, at 10,000 years ago, humans lived everywhere and had roughly the same level of technology everywhere. That's all you've missed. So that's my suggestion for this week to be a good Hello Internet listener, is to grab yourself a copy of Guns, Germs, and Steel. Once again, Audible is offering our listeners a free 30-day trial membership. So just go to audible.com/hellointernet, and there you can browse their huge collection of audio programs to try. Audible.com/hellointernet. And thanks to Audible for sponsoring the show.
All right. So, bi-weekly weigh-in.
Your favorite, Brady.
Well, that's interesting. I haven't got a weight for you.
Why don't you have a weight for me? Why don't you have a weight?
I haven't weighed myself today.
But have you weighed yourself recently?
I weighed myself about a week ago, and I was pretty much the same as I was the previous time I weighed myself, which kind of surprised me. because of how much I ate over Christmas. But
Did you make it through the holidays without gaining weight?
I think I must have put a bit on, but I think I'd already put a bit on before that, and I haven't done it, Gray. But I do want to talk about the FITOTRON lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I have been getting really energized about it, even though I sound like I don't care. I do.
I was gonna say you're really cavalier about it.
Well, first of all, let's do your way in. Are are all the graphs heading in the right direction? Is it all good in the world of Grey?
Well, no, because when the Christmas season came around, I briefly toyed with the idea of trying to stay on target for the holiday season because I was approaching 200 pounds.
The roast potatoes are getting too close.
Yeah. And if you look at my weight chart, December 21st, I was at 203 pounds, which of course I'm trying really hard to get under 200. And I remember having this little mental conversation about like, man, I could just buckle down and I could make it to under 200 by January 1st. And I was like, nope, not going to happen. And so I immediately gained 8 pounds over the holidays. And then I am losing it very quickly, but I'm back down to 206. But the bottom line is I'm still fatter than I was before the holidays. So that's the short version of my story.
All right. But sounds like, that's an acceptable bump and you're back on the horse.
Remarkably, the weight is coming off very fast again. And as we have discussed before on the podcast, one of the main skills of the FITOTRON lifestyle is getting back on the wagon. Like that is the skill that you are cultivating.
I'll tell you what I have found just recently.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten my act together with food the way I want. And I know food is the most important thing to really lose some weight, and I do want to lose some weight, but I also want to be healthier. And the thing that I found really motivating, and I'm not saying this, I'm not saying buy a t-shirt or anything, but I got my FITOTRON 5000 t-shirts the other day, and since getting them, I have found that really like inspirational. Oh yeah, and I've been putting them on and going to the gym and running. But because of this arbitrary 5,000 number, which you just pulled out of nowhere when we were making it up on the spot, I've just run with it, and I'm running 5,000 meters every time I go to the gym. Like I get on the treadmill and I run 5,000 meters, and I'm seeing if I can do it, how quickly I can do it. I'm trying to bring my times down. And the other thing that really inspired me, and also completely depressed me, was Henry of Minute Physics fame. He got a FITOTRON 5000 t-shirt, and Henry, for those who don't know, is a very fit young man and quite the athlete. And he made a video of himself wearing the FITOTRON 5000 t-shirt, and he ran 5,000 meters out in the snow, and he actually ran over 5,000 meters because that's just what he did. And he ran it in this ridiculous time of less than 18 and a half minutes. I mean, he should be in the Olympics. Yeah. In fact, I think I checked, and there was a time when that would almost have been a world record.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And I'm never going to get anywhere near his time. But I have found it really motivating, and I'm really enjoying going to the gym and having this set distance I have to run. And at the end of each run, I take a photo of the time, and then I come home and put it in a spreadsheet. And I've gotten really into it. And I know it's early days, but the last few days in particular, I've commented to my wife that I'm working really well, and I'm having less fallow periods at work, and I'm getting more done each day. And I said I can't explain it. What's going on? And she said, "Oh, it's probably because you're running and exercising." And I was like, "It probably is." I didn't even think of that. And maybe this is, so maybe I'm not losing loads of weight, but maybe just I'm moving some blood around, and no, I sound like an idiot, like I've just discovered that exercise is good for me. But
this is the subjective experience of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that it sneaks in an unexpected way that you cannot really notice until it's been happening for a while. So yeah, this is totally understandable.
5,000 meters is I think is a really almost perfect distance. Like I don't know if you're like some kind of genius or it was blind luck, but it's almost like you almost couldn't have picked a more perfect distance, because it takes, half an hour to run 5,000 meters, if you're just an average runner, I guess, a normal person, more than half an hour, I guess, but it's taking me a little over half an hour, but I'm getting it down. So it's like it's a good amount of time. It's not like, some ridiculous marathon. It doesn't kill your body to do it semi-regularly. It's not so short that it's not worth the effort. It's a really good distance. So,
yeah. So it's funny that you say this, Brady, because there's a thing that I had been keeping secret from you, which is just so strange to me that I can hardly even understand how or why I'm doing it. But I actually started trying to run.
Right.
And I know that people, you need to understand. I think I have literally not run except for occasional sprints in Dulles Airport for close connections at opposite ends of those godforsaken terminals. But aside from that, I think I have literally not run for the entirety of my adult life. And just about a month ago, it came into my head of why don't you try to run 5,000 meters? This idea came unbidden from nowhere, popped into my head. And my thought was, but I hate running. And then I thought about it more. And the answer was, do I though? Do I know that I hate running? I don't think I actually know. I think I hate to run. And so I happened to be traveling and I happened to be in Germany out of the blue, out of nowhere. I got a little training app for running and I went outside to run in a park in Germany. It was just completely out of character and completely surprising to me. And since then, I have been very, very, very slowly trying to build up the amount that I run. And when I do it, I'm out there running and I'm still thinking, I think I don't like this, but I don't know. But I'm trying to get to the point where I can actually run 5,000 meters. And then I will feel like, well, then I can make an informed decision about whether or not I actually like running or I don't. But I too think that somehow the FITOTRON 5,000 lifestyle in some bizarre way, that number 5,000 got into my brain and I'm like, oh, I know there are races that are 5K. And some part of my brain just decided, let's go for this. We don't run and let's try to get to the point where I can run 5,000 meters. And I am baffled by this behavior in myself, but here I am.
What sort of distances are you on at the moment and what kind of speeds do you run at?
When I run, Brady, my spirit animal is a turtle.
Right.
I have this little training program on my phone, which tries to be super gentle, where it's walk for 7 minutes. And then after 7 minutes, it beeps and it goes, okay, just jog very slowly for a minute. And then after the minute, it says, okay, go back to walking now. Walk for another 5 minutes, right? It's trying to build you up. And when it got to the point where I had to run for 5 minutes in a row, I thought I was going to die. My body is so not built for running. At the moment, I'd have to look up the exact times, but it is taking me a hell of a long time to go 5,000 meters. And I am walking the vast, vast majority of it. Right. But I feel like I'm just going to follow this little program and build this up slowly. And I think it's probably going to take 2 months or something to get to maybe the point where I'm actually running 5,000 meters, but I'm fine going nice and slow. And so it's a thing that is unexpected to me.
You're doing it outside. You're not doing it on a treadmill. You're doing out in the wild.
That's the other thing. I'm outside and I bought running pants, Brady, the kind of pants that you see runners wear.
Wow. Yeah. Like tight lycra.
Yeah, tight lycra running pants. I don't even know why I did this.
I was joking. You're actually wearing tight lycra running pants.
Yeah, I really am. I have no idea why. It's I am totally confused by this.
Yeah, so am I.
Everybody's confused.
You don't have to wear tight lycra. You can just wear shorts.
I just went into a store and I did the whole thing where I'm I told the sales guy, I was I've never run before ever, and I just want to get some running shoes and some gear. And I was just tell me what I need to get. And then I walked out of the store with a bunch of stuff.
Sexy Flanders.
Yeah. I am sexy, sexy Flanders.
Do you know what? People say this, it's a bit of a cliche, and I'm going to say it now because it's actually true, and I found it true. When I got into running a little while back when I did a half marathon. And this is true for me on the individual run basis, but also on the big picture over the months you do it. At the start, you don't enjoy it, and then you start to really love it. And that's true on an individual run. The first 5 minutes, you think, oh, what am I doing? This is going to take forever. And then after about 5 to 10 minutes of running, the rest of it is actually quite an enjoyable thing. But also on the big scale, the first month or so of running, you're thinking, oh, this is such a grind. And then it becomes something you start looking forward to if you can get through that first period. So I'll be curious to see whether or not you have the same experience.
Yeah, I am determined to stick with this. Like I haven't exercised over the past week because of the holiday and because of some various things, but I'm getting right back on tomorrow. Actually, is the scheduled next run. I am determined to be able to, and again, by run I mean jog like a turtle, but I am determined to be able to jog for 5,000 meters, and then at that point I will decide if this is a thing that I want to keep doing or not keep doing. But yeah, it's an interesting experience, and I don't quite know how to describe it yet. And actually, just by total accident, the very first time that I went running, I didn't have any headphones with me, so I was just outside without any music or anything. And I was talking to Henry, actually, because I was asking him for some beginner tips, because I figured if anybody knew about running, it was Henry. And his suggestion was to keep doing it without listening to any music, which would be my natural go-to, like, oh yeah, I gotta have some workout songs. And I don't know if anybody else wants to try doing running. I think Henry's right. I think doing it without music somehow feels like the correct thing to do. I can't quite explain it. It's like, it is sort of boring, but it just feels right.
I think that's true for outdoor running. I'm not sure it's true for gyms.
I'm going to agree with you there. I think if I was on a treadmill at the gym, I would have to listen to something. But for running outdoors, it feels right to not have the headphones on.
You've stuck with the headphone free, have you? You haven't gone to headphones since?
I have not gone to headphones since.
Ah, that's interesting. That's good. That's very interesting to hear.
Yeah, it was just a coincidence, but Henry suggested that I keep trying it that way when I had accidentally done it the first time, and I thought, well, this man knows running. I'm gonna follow his advice, and I think he's right.
Do you wear your FITOTRON 5000 t-shirt when you run?
I have gear that fits me perfectly.
Has to be all your sexy Flanders lycra, does it?
Also, because I'm out in the park running around, and I'm in my sexy Flanders outfit, this is like the last time in the world I would ever want to be recognized by anyone.
I have actually done all my 5,000 meters in. I'm yet to do one without my FITOTRON 5,000 t-shirt. It's become like I have to do it in it now.
Have you been recognized at the gym?
No, I haven't. But I was actually out the other day. I was doing two things I shouldn't have been doing. I was stuffing my face with a Five Guys hot dog. And then I went shopping for underwear. And then just after I finished, I thought, wow, that would have been like a bad time to get recognized. And then I went on Twitter and someone wrote, I can't believe I just saw Brady Harron. And they said, I didn't have the courage to go up and say hello, but it was nice to see him. And I was like, oh no, what was I doing? And so I replied and said, oh, you should have come up and said hello. It would have been nice to meet you. And he said, oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. It looked like you were really enjoying that hot dog. And I thought, it could have been worse. He could have been looking as I was perusing all the different underpants, deciding which color I liked best.
I don't know, man. That description of it looked like you were really enjoying that hot dog, that sounds pretty bad. Like, you weren't just eating it. It's like, there's a man who's enjoying a hot dog. I can't interrupt him now. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
FITOTRON lifestyle. Hot dogs acceptable.
Yeah. I feel a lot less guilty about hot dogs on days when I've done the 5,000 meters.